Hey there. So this is the first video in a Q&A series that I want to start. In one of my Mega Man videos, the Mambu tutorial, somebody had asked a question, how to swap out the sprites with animated bullets. Because in that video I ended up enhancing the BulletScript so that you can basically have an array of bullets and you just pick which bullet you want. So in this video we're going to answer that question by adding animation into our bullets in that same class. So I'm just going to do this real quick. This is what it's going to look like when you're done. We're going to start this up and pay attention out here. So we're going to have the shooting object and we're going to have several bullets. So I'm just going to click the mouse button and I've scaled the bullets so they're a little bit bigger so you can see it better. And so that's the first bullet. So that's like Mega Man's default bullet. And then these are basically the bullets for the enemies. So that's the second bullet, third bullet. They're just in different colors. Blue one. And so the next one is going to be an axe. Now granted, I know that's not a bullet, but it's an animation. So I just need to throw that in there. So we're going to throw that. Boom. So there goes an axe. We're going to throw a couple more. Boom, boom, boom. There's a bunch of axes going. And I'm going to right click one more time. And now we're going to have a fireball. So let's shoot the fireball out. So there's the animation. So this all works around my BulletScript from the Mega Man video. And so let's stop. So if we go over to the code, you can actually go over to, if you go to my GitHub, the link's in the description for the Q&A, but if you go back a level, the Mega Man series is there. And if you go into the one about Mambu, I don't remember which video number it is, but the original BulletScript is there. So I've only made a couple changes just to, take some stuff out that revolves around like colliding with enemies and the player and everything. But the rest of it's pretty much the same. However, I changed all the bullet types just to match what we're shooting from this demonstration. So I have like the 6 bullets, the first one being the Mega Man bullet, and then these others being the same bullet except in different colors. Now these first 6 here are all static images. This last one, the axe and the fireball, those are the ones that are animated. And then we default to the first bullet. So in the original script, this was not in there. So what we do is we add in a runtime animator controller. And I also have one in here called offset that I added. I use the offset because the fireball, we use a circle collider. And I just put an offset in there because it doesn't actually sit at 0, 0. So I added this in there so in case you have like colliders and everything so you can move it around. And the rest of this is all the same. You don't have to worry about any of this. But down here where we had set bullet type from the original, we add in the animator controller reference, and the offset reference, and to the circle collider. And that's pretty much it. The only other change, like I said down here, I took out the code that looks for applying damage to the enemy or the player, because otherwise the script doesn't work because we don't use the enemy controller class. So those are the changes. So if you were watching the series, that's basically how you can add in animation. You just need this, and you don't technically need the offset, but it's there just in case you do want to have an offset follow, and it's not always going to be setting at the origin of 0, 0. So then we're going to take a look at our class here. This is actually tied to shooter, and we're going to go back over to the project in a minute. But in here all we have is a bullet index. This is basically going to be a counter, and then we basically use that against the enum to know which bullet that we're on, because it's just 0. It's a 0-based index array basically. Bullet prefab, which is the bullet that covers all of them, which we'll get to. And then the bullet type, which is the reference that we pass to our shoot function. And so this is just a function down here at the bottom that we just say which one that we're shooting, which index, and then we cast it to know the name of it. So we know if it's bullet 1, and the name is basically what was in the enum here. And in update, all I'm doing is I'm looking for the left mouse button being pressed down, and if it is, then we create a copy, we instantiate a copy of our bullet prefab, name it, position it, and then we set the speed slow to 1 just so you can see it as it's moving across the screen so it doesn't fly by. And we're moving everything to the right, and then what bullet type that we're using, and so it destroys itself after 5 seconds so it doesn't stay in the scene, and then we shoot it. And then what I do is here I scale it after the fact just so that it's bigger so you can see it. Otherwise, if you remove this, then it'll be normal size based off the actual game object that you create. And the right click, if you click right click, then it just increments through the bullets and it shows which bullet we're on now down in the console. Okay, so back over now in the project, if we move this out of the way, actually, all this is just a little image, and this is basically origin here, and this is where it fires out. And I'm going to move that out of the way, and that's basically shoot position. So all it has is a sprite renderer, and I just use this default knob graphic there. And then we just put the layer order to 1 just so it's above the others, the bullets, so they should come out from underneath. And then we have the script here, and then the shooting object and the bullet type. And the shooting object is a prefab that we create, and which is here. And if you actually look in the, you go download the project, I just created a single game object for each one. But what ours is that we use is the shooting object one, which is basically all of these in one. So, and in the shooting object, all we have is an animator, and this is this hasn't have anything assigned, but the BulletScript, the what do you call it? The bullet data will assign that if it has an animator, and then the collider and the rigid body and the sprite renderer. So in our BulletScript, this is all the same stuff. However, down here in the bullet data, we have each of these elements is an array element is our bullet. So this is the Mega Man bullet, no animator type. And then we have the others. Basically, all these are static, except then we get down here where we get the axe, and this is where we assign in the animator, the animator controller, and then the fireball animator controller. And all those are is basically just basic animations. So you go to, it's just a single animation, and you can't really tell from there, but if you go to these prefabs that I created, just so you can see, I'm just going to go and drop this in so you can see what it is. And this is just basically the axe, and then the, as it moves through the screen, let's just bring this over so you can see. This is nothing new. So when you step through it, the circle collider moves along with it, and that's where the offset comes in. And the offset will be applied to our script or our bullet data, so that the initial one. So that's basically the answer of how I put animation in the BulletScript. So any questions? You can always leave a comment. The code is up on GitHub, so you can go check that out and download it if you'd like. And be ready for the next video. Goodbye.